I was assigned to survey a potential route for running power lines up into a remote highland area, a week-long contract job. We set up a temporary base near the edge of the forest, right across from 4 old wooden cabins that used to serve forest rangers. Cabins 1 and 2 had been refurbished and were used by the tech crew. Cabin 4 was for storage. Cabin 3 was left empty, roof leaking, moldy smell. No one stayed there, no one locked it. I'd peeked inside once, never went back. The daily work was routine: elevation checks, marking pole spots, scouting pathways. Nights were for logging data, recharging gear, eating fast, and sleeping. The truest sound out here wasn't silence. It was wind through trees, water dripping from moss, the hum of gear, and the odd bird call. We weren't isolated, just forgotten. On the 3rd night, the rain came heavy. I was reviewing my logs when something caught my eye, a tiny red dot glowing faintly through the darkness. Not a light. Not a bulb. It looked like the ember of a cigarette. I got up, stepped to the window. It was in cabin 3. Just a red flicker, then darkness. I stared into the rain. A moment later, something moved, a figure. Just a silhouette. It stepped from the cabin porch and slipped into the tree-line. I waited. Nothing. No one else saw it. Grabbed my raincoat and flashlight. I should have told someone. I didn't. The trail to cabin 3 was slick with mud. Rain had turned the ground to sludge. My boots sank deep, each step louder than I wanted it to be. The cabin looked abandoned, dark, still rotting, but the smell was unmistakable. Fresh cigarette smoke, sharp and sour, clung to the air like breath that hadn't cleared. I hesitated on the porch. The handle was wet. Cold. I pushed the door open. Same small room. Same warped walls. But it wasn't untouched. The chair in the middle had been moved, angled slightly toward the door. A puddle near the back wall shimmered under the flashlight. The whole place reeked of wet ash and old sweat. I took one step in. My boot squelched. Flashlight swept across the walls. Nothing new. But the room felt heavier. Like someone had just left, or was still here. I turned to go. Then footsteps. Outside. One. Then another. Not running. Not cautious. Just walking. I froze. The door slammed shut behind me. Clack. The latch had locked. I lunged for the handle. Twisted. Pulled. It didn't move. I was locked in. The rain outside muted everything else. No voices. No signs of anyone else. That's when I noticed it. A hatch. Dead center of the floor. Square, old, with a rusted pull ring. My hand hovered over it. Everything in me said no. But I had no choice. I knelt. Pulled. Gave. Cold air seeped out. And behind it, darkness. I turned to leave the cabin. Then the door slammed shut behind me. Bang. Metal scraped. The latch had been thrown. I lunged at the door, twisted the handle. Lock. I slammed my shoulder into it. Once, twice. The wood was rotten but solid. Something heavy pressed against it from the outside. I shouted, "Hello? Anyone?" No answer. Just rain hammering the tin roof. Wind howling through cracks in the boards. I looked around for anything to pry it open. Grabbed the old chair, wedged it into the handle, kicked down. Snap. The chair broke. Door didn't budge. No window. No gap. The room was shrinking. I pounded the door, fist raw. My voice cracked, throat burning. Nothing. Then the flashlight caught something. A hatch. Square. Dead center of the floor. Rusted ring. I hesitated. Every part of me said no. But there was nowhere else. I dropped to my knees, pulled it open. Cold air spilled out. I slid in. Dirt floor. Damp. Moldy. The air clung to my face. Flashlight swept across coils of wire, a dented box, something that shimmered like a belt buckle. I crawled deeper. Spotted faint drag marks, lines in the dirt like something had been pulled. I followed them, clawed at the soft earth with bare hands. Roots snagged between my fingers, stinging, made me pull back. No exit. I turned to climb out. Slam. The hatch dropped shut. I hit it, shoved, yelled. No one answered. I smashed the flashlight into the underside. Searched for light, a crack. Nothing. Then footsteps. Overhead. 1, 2. Then silence. Right above me. I stopped breathing. My entire body trembling. Whoever it was, they were listening. 5 minutes. 10. No movement. I hit the hatch again. Screamed until my voice went. Cried without knowing. This was it. Because of a stupid red ember. Because I couldn't let it go. I collapsed. Mud up my sleeves. Shirt soaked through. The flashlight flickered, then died. I lay in the dark, shaking, waiting for whatever would come next. Then light. The hatch creaked open. I scrambled upright. Looked up. No one there. The room was empty. Just me. And the feeling that something had looked at me, then decided not to act. Back at the station I dried off. Didn't say a word. Slept maybe an hour. Next day I worked like normal. Didn't go near cabin 3. No one asked. But things shifted. Someone had been in my room. I knew how I left my papers. Field notes were shuffled. On the corner of my site map someone had drawn a red dot. Right where cabin 3 stood. I didn't say anything. The next morning there was a cigarette butt on the step outside my cabin. Still warm. That afternoon I found my gear pack zipped differently. Just slightly. No one else mentioned it. Nothing was taken. But I knew what it meant. I wrapped up my report 2 days early. Marked the terrain. Left out the cabin. I didn't pack in daylight. Just left before dawn. Rain still falling. Tires slid on the road down the slope. I didn't feel safe until the treeline was gone. Didn't answer emails for a week. Didn't sign the next assignment. Whatever that cabin was, it wasn't abandoned. Not completely. And whatever I saw, whatever smelled of tobacco and sweat, whatever waited for me to step in, that wasn't some harmless squatter. It wasn't a trap either. I wasn't meant to be caught. I was meant to know someone had been there. To feel it. Then to leave. I still keep that field map. The one with the red dot. Still don't know who marked it. I never told anyone what happened. There's no report. No complaint. Just a cabin on paper. A number. A site. But I remember that smell. That silence. The steps above me. The way the hatch felt like it could close again at any second. If you're deep in the woods and you see a red ember glowing through the dark, don't go toward it. It's not a light. It's someone watching. And they've seen enough. I was assigned to lead a group of geology students on a field survey in an old campground that had been abandoned for nearly 6 years after a landslide. Dozens of tents once stood here, but now the terrain sloped quietly into thick forest on one side and a rain-swollen stream on the other. The organizers set up our main base in the central area. But there weren't enough tents, so I took the leftover one, old, worn, and pitched closest to the forest edge. The canvas was faded, the frame leaned a little, but it kept the rain out. I didn't complain. Honestly, I preferred the quiet over the noise of the students. The rain started in the afternoon. Light at first, then pouring. My tent leaked a bit, so I laid down plastic, adjusted my pack, and settled in. Outside, frogs croaked, water gurgled, and wind hissed through the brittle branches. I propped my legs on my bag and logged some notes. Around midnight, I woke to the sound of footsteps. Soft, slow, dragging. I sat up and unzipped the tent. Rain was still coming down hard. Lights from other tents flickered through the mist. But near the forest edge I saw someone standing. No raincoat. No movement. Didn't turn around when I called. I grabbed my poncho and flashlight. I shouldn't have gone alone. But I did. Mud sloshed around my ankles. My flashlight cut through the wet leaves. The figure stood in the same place. I called again. No answer. The rain hammered his bare head. Hair soaked. Shirt clinging. I stepped closer. Just a few meters away the figure slid back into the trees. Smoothly. No sound. No snapping twigs. No splashing. I followed. No reason. Maybe I thought someone was hurt. Maybe it was the way he stood that chilled me. The woods were dark and deep. Only the rain now. The figure was gone. Just footprints in the muck. I crouched to see them, no sole pattern. Barefoot. Bigger than mine. I turned around. Couldn't find the trail back. No tent lights. Just trees and water. I called out. Nothing. Then I slipped. Fell into a shallow ditch. Cold mud flooded my collar. I scrambled up, slipped again. My hand hit something wooden. A cabin. It was low, wooden, leaning. Door half shut. I pushed in. Dry inside. Dark. I lit my flashlight. No one there. But someone had been. Dried muddy prints. A poncho hung by the door. A soft pack of wet cigarettes on the table. A metal cup still damp. I didn't sit. Just stood there breathing. A soft cough. From behind the wall. I froze. Could have been the rain echoing. Maybe not. I stepped back to the door. Didn't check the corner. Didn't shine the light. I stepped into the rain. Ran blind. Branches lashed my face. Water slid down my neck. I stumbled through brush and slick roots, vision swimming. My flashlight flickered. Then cut out. For a second it felt like I was being watched. Not chased, just followed. As if someone walked behind, always just out of reach. Then a faint glow ahead. A tent. I ran to it, only to find it was mine. The old one. Light still hanging. I backed away. Turned. Ran again. Deeper into the forest. 10 minutes. Then again I saw the cabin. Same broken door. Same empty cup. This time the cough came sooner. And a shadow moved behind the wall. I didn't scream. Just left. But I wasn't running anymore. I was staggering. Lost in circles. I climbed a slope. Slipped. Got up. Climbed again. Mud in my mouth. Water in my boots. After what felt like hours I stopped. Sat under a fallen tree. Forced myself to breathe. I remembered what I'd read. Follow the slope, look for water, keep a bearing. I pulled out my compass. Miraculously still working. Or maybe just hope. I picked a direction. Southeast. Downhill. After maybe another hour I saw a post. A trail marker. Faded, rotted, but real. And then the lights of camp, blurry through the rain. I made it back just before sunrise. I didn't go near the forest edge again. That morning I said I felt sick. Got moved into the central shelter. No one asked questions. But I noticed new prints outside my new tent. Barefoot. Same size as the ones in the woods. I checked my pack. Nothing missing. But inside, tucked between clothes, a faded blue handkerchief. Not mine. I left it in my coat pocket. Didn't throw it away. That afternoon at the mess area, I saw a student standing near the forest. Back turned. Motionless. I called. He jumped, turned around. A freshman. He said, "I thought I saw someone out there. In the trees. But it's raining, so I let it go." That night he moved into the group shelter. I left 2 days later. No formal report. Just said I needed time off. They didn't press. No one else went near the edge after that. The old tent was still there. Last time I looked in that direction, it started to rain again. I kept the handkerchief. Never washed it. Never tossed it. A few months later I went back. Quiet. Alone. The tent was still there. Same faded fabric, same bent frame. But the zipper was torn open. I looked inside. New muddy prints. A notebook in the corner. Final page scribbled with one line. Standing in the rain. Not moving. Just watching. I zipped it up. On my way out I saw someone in the distance. Standing between the trees. I didn't go closer. Just confirmed, I wasn't the only one. I wasn't supposed to be there. That's the part one keep coming back to. I took the wrong trailhead, misread a fork, and ended up in a part of the forest that wasn't marked on the map. The rain had been steady since early morning, and by late afternoon I was soaked and too tired to backtrack. That's when I saw the cabin. It looked old but not abandoned, the kind of structure that someone still took care of even if they weren't there full-time. Small, single room with a tin roof and a single wooden step. There was no light inside, no smoke from a chimney, but the door wasn't locked. I didn't break in. I knocked. Waited. Then opened the door slowly. It was empty. Just a cot, a small desk, and a kerosene lamp with some oil still in it. The kind of place hunters use when weather turns bad. I figured it was safer than pitching a wet tent. I'd leave it as I found it. I lit the lamp. Ate some jerky. Hung my jacket to dry. At 11:42 p.m. I woke up, cold, confused. The lamp had gone out. But I hadn't touched it. Outside the window I saw movement. Not a figure. Just rain moving wrong. Like someone was standing just out of view. I didn't go outside. I just sat up listening. Rain tapping against the tin roof, steady but hollow. Then footsteps, 2 maybe 3 pacing in the mud. Slow. Careful. Deliberate. I grabbed my flashlight. Aimed it through the window. Nothing. 10 minutes passed. Maybe 20. Then I heard the door creak, not opening, just shifting. As if someone leaned against it from the outside. I stayed still. Barely breathed. Eventually the sound stopped. In the morning I checked the mud. There were no footprints. Just mine from the day before. but on the window glass there were 3 small smudges. Not fingerprints, like someone had pressed their forehead against it. 3 times. Same shape. Same height. I packed up fast, wiped the lamp, closed the door. No damage done. But when I stepped off the porch, I saw it. On the tree directly across from the cabin, 3 vertical cuts. Same height. Same spacing. Fresh. I walked faster. Back toward the trail I thought I'd come from. Only I couldn't find the fork. And I started to realize I hadn't passed that tree before. The one with 3 more cuts. I kept walking. Followed the slope, looking for the creek I'd crossed the day before. The rain was lighter now, but every step felt louder. Like the woods were listening. Then I saw another tree with the same 3 marks. Left side, chest height, fresh. And another. Not random. Always just ahead like trail markers. I stopped at the 4th one. Something about it felt wrong. Not just the cuts, but the bark below them, darker, almost scorched. I touched it. The surface was cold, too cold for how mild the air felt. I turned around. There was a 5th tree behind me. I hadn't seen it on the way in. Same 3 cuts. I walked faster. By mid-afternoon I saw a ridge I recognized, or thought I did. I climbed it, expecting to see the gravel road or at least my car. Nothing. Just more trees. Another set of cuts. I yelled. Not for help, just to break the silence. But the sound didn't carry. It hit the air and died like it was swallowed. That night I set up a quick tarp and slept with a knife in my hand. I didn't light a fire. Just listened. At 2:39 a.m. I woke up to whispering. Not words. Just sound. But it was coming from inside the tarp. I lashed out into the dark. Nothing there. Outside the rain had stopped. But the leaves were still dripping, like something had just moved through them. At first light I started running. No trail, no plan. Just moving. I kept expecting to circle back to the cabin, but I never did. Only more trees. More cuts. Around midday I found something new. A circle of stones like a fire pit, but not burned. Just arranged. Inside was a pile of wet clothes, not mine, not recent, but folded. Carefully. And next to it a single boot. Turned upright. I didn't touch it. A few feet away, nailed to a tree, was a small mirror. It was fogged. But when I leaned close I could see my face, and just over my shoulder for a fraction of a second, I saw someone standing behind me. I spun around. No one. But the tree behind me had the same 3 cuts. I didn't stop to think. I didn't eat. I just moved. And finally, just past dusk, I heard the sound of tires on gravel. I broke through the trees and stumbled straight onto a road. A pickup stopped. Older man driving, window already down. "You all right?" he asked. I nodded. Couldn't speak. He looked me over, didn't press. "Get in." He drove 10 minutes in silence. Then said without looking at me, "You see the cabin?" I didn't answer. I tell him to tear it down. But it don't stay gone. That was the end of it. He dropped me at a gas station. I bought water, used the bathroom, cleaned up. Then sat outside until morning. I never checked the maps. Never reported anything. I told myself it was just a weathered shelter and a long, bad night. But 2 weeks later I was scrolling through a hiking forum. A guy posted a photo asking for ID help. Found this nailed to a tree. Deep woods. Creepy. It was the same mirror. And in the reflection, someone was standing behind him. I didn't comment. Didn't warn him. Didn't save the post. But I've thought about it every night since. What if it's not just the mirror? What if it's the act of seeing it, of recognizing something that shouldn't be there, that pulls you in? I keep wondering what would have happened if I turned around faster. Or slower. Or not at all. I don't have answers. But if you've seen that mirror or the marks on the trees, I want to know what you saw. Because I still don't know what was behind me. And maybe you do.